So here you see Çatalhöyük. You shift to the second picture, which is the way, if you go to Çatalhöyük in the summer, which is about the same temperature as here in much of the summer, but there is much less air conditioning because it's 100 miles south of Konya, you know, which is a fairly modern city and which is growing very fast. But at Çatalhöyük itself, the few houses there are were set up by the people who did the excavation. After a few years, Girard got in trouble with the Turkish government. They accused him of stealing stuff, bringing it to England, all sorts of things, and finally he was expelled from Turkey. So there was the most important settlement, Neolithic settlement in the world, you know, with these enormous possibilities when he put them. And there were no excavation from, I think, 1965 to 1993. And in 1993, the man who took over is Dr. Ian Hodder, who is the chairman of cultural anthropology at Stanford. So he had a good idea. He wanted to revive, you know, the oldest among us probably remember all the publicity around Çatalhöyük that there was in a long time. It was very much in the news. I mean, Girard was a genius for publicity. But it's totally disappeared now. And they've been excavating again according to more up-to-date methods, scientific method. But these 18 levels of occupation are both an incredible blessing for archaeologists and the worst curse possible, because they are getting mixed up all the time to keep them separate. Sometimes it's an impossible job. And if you have to sift the dust, you know, and this is what the current people have been doing. And of course the Turkish government has been getting more and more mad because it wanted spectacular things to show the world. And you know, the area is an area which is fairly fundamentalist. And curiously, the Neolithic period and Turkish history are getting mixed up, with few people seemingly thinking about the fact that thousands of years separate the two. So I never was in Çatalhöyük, and what I'm going to do with you is entirely borrowed from the illustrations in a book by Ian Hodder himself. The title is The Leopard's Tale, and it's a book which was published in 2006, which has many pictures of scenes which I'm going to show to you. And some of them are not the original. If I showed only the original, they would be too damaged for you to see very easily. But Mrs. Melo, who was a Turkish woman and the daughter, I think, of a Turkish diplomat, made drawings, you know, for the sole purpose of making these pictures extremely intelligible, eliminating the dirt, the irregularity in the surface, and so forth, but trying to keep only the intention, what is visible in the intention of the author of these pictures. So, could you show you the next two? Okay, so this is a reconstitution, of course, of Çatalhöyük before it was covered by dirt. And it's in the spring where there are big floods. As a matter of fact, there are such floods now, or so much water that people wonder how these things could resist all that water. You know, there are many mysteries, of course, which are probably very easy to solve, but which are not immediately soluble. Well, They were not soluble in water, and he was fortunate. And there's something wrong about that picture because it makes it more like a modern village. You have a village, there are streets, something. It was totally compact. So, in a way, more than a modern town, it should be compared to a beehive or something of the sort. Not that the walls were really common to two houses, they were separate. But there was very little space in between. And fortunately for the archaeologists, it was used for garbage. So it's full of garbage. And archaeology is a magnificent profession. The only problem is that if you're an archaeologist, you spend your life in garbage from the beginning. That's about the main instrument of knowledge. So, now the next picture. So this is one of the pictures drawn by Mrs. Mellard. And it's one of the important pictures. What I'm going to show you, this is the now extinct, but I understand we saw in a dictionary that the auroch, which is a wild European boar, which was hunted widely and disappeared, probably became extinct through excessive hunting. Today, of course, the fashion is to say that everything in nature became extinct through excessive hunting and because of man. It's a fashion right now for obvious reasons. We are destroying so many things that we think it's always been that way now. Whereas before we never thought that a species could become extinct because of man. But now we see this of the great, much more diverse fauna that existed in the Paleolithic period, at the period of Lascaux and all these things. But you understand there is a great difference between cave painting, which is never visible from outside, which may have been reserved to initiates, to things like the paintings I'm going to show you, which are usually found in what we call private houses. Are they really private? Are they religious? They had no temples, no churches. So in a way, every house was a shrine, was a kind of temple. And in some of them, there were paintings like this. And the geography of the house was very important. The north wall was the sacred wall, usually on which you found this sort of thing. But there are exceptions. You see? Then, under the bench of the north wall, many people were buried. But probably not as many as lived in these houses. But it was a custom, and it's still a custom, to, in some archaic tribes, not anymore, I mean, anthropologists of the last century have seen it, of burying people in the house itself. So people actually sat on a bench under which they had the bodies of their ancestors. This is interesting to know in order to make you feel the difference in mentality. So the next picture, please. So you see, I wanted to show you, after the drawing of Mrs. Mellard, a snapshot of the original picture, which has color, of course. And but if you really look very carefully, you will see that it's exactly the same thing she drew. But of course, the picture she drew is really to the right of the animal. Here it's not, there is